Luke chapter 6 verse 27. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. It is really a challenge to love our enemy in this world we live in, which we fix our enemy as enemy forever. Count on their rooting out. The society as well as media put the screws on doing revenge. If it be so today, how it would be 2000 years ago, in which one treated others in line with the law, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. They could not grasp the gospel of loving the enemy. The people of Israel underwent continuous torture like beating from the horse, bullying, snatching cords, seizing their goods, etc. under the Roman tyranny. The early Christians also had to live through severe persecution by the Romans and the Jews, where the gospel of loving enemies got nourished. It is the Christian norm of loving one's enemy has influenced many great personalities of this world. Anyone can do good to those who do good to him or her. Besides, love those who love him. That is average justice. We can move beyond justice to mercy only through the grace of God. Loving our enemy is not something like special concern given by the disciple of Christ. Rather, it is the uniqueness as well as the life of Christianity. Again, Jesus teaches how one can love his enemy. First of all, do good to those who hate you. Secondly, bless those who curse you. And finally, pray for those who abuse you. 1 Peter 3:9. Do not repay evil for evil or abuse for abuse, but on the contrary, repay with blessing. It is for this you were called, that you might inherit a blessing. Jesus has used the Greek word agape for loving one's enemy. It is an active loving based on going the extra mile without considering the worth or value of the person whom we love. We have to give good whether we have received good or bad from him. Luke chapter 6 verse 31. Do to others as you would have them do to you. We are to treat the people the way we would like to be treated, not the way they deserve to be treated, but the way we would like to be treated. Mercy is never justified, it is given freely. We must learn to be merciful not when it is useful, not when it is convenient. The measure of love is to love without measure. No one who loved the world unconditionally has ever failed in his life, and no one has ever defeated the world with pride and violence. Not with weapons, but only with love one can defeat the world. Proverbs 25 verses 21 and 22. If your enemies are hungry, give them bread to eat, and if they are thirsty, give them water to drink. For you will heap coals of fire on their heads, and the Lord will reward you. Why Jesus has firmly instructed to love our enemies. Luke chapter 6 verse 36. Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. Jesus introduces the Father who is extremely merciful, who makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. Our Redeemer Jesus Christ is the incarnated word of divine mercy. The letter to Romans chapter 5 verses 7 and 8. Indeed, rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person someone might actually dare to die. But God proves his love for us in that while we still were sinners, Christ died for us. Jesus never hates his opponents when he is scourged by the soldiers of Pilate, crowned with thorns, covered with red tunics, while they shouted to crucify him, stripped off his clothes, nailed on the cross with sharp nails, and challenged him to free himself from the cross if he is the Son of God. Instead, he prays to the Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing, and shows what is the true love. Though he knew that Judas would betray him, he cleansed his feet and gave the first loaf of bread to him and tried to reconcile with him before offering himself as a sacrifice. Saint Stephen, the first martyr of the church, also prays for the persecutors by kneeling down. Lord, do not hold this sin against them. There are so many role models who offered their lives for forgiving their enemies, like Gladys, who forgave the killers who killed her husband and children, Blessed Rani Maria's parents and her sister who pardoned the murderer Saminder Singh. Saint John Paul II who forgave Aliatta who shot at him. Saint Maria Goretti who pardoned the accused Alexander. The conversation of Jacob with Esau, who was deceived by Jacob, glorifies the extraordinary nature of loving our enemy. Genesis chapter 33 verse 10. For truly to see your face is like seeing the face of God, since you have received me with such favor. Remember, the face of those who love their neighbor is like the face of God. Amen.